Okay, we're streaming. Well, not screaming, streaming. We'll start at 8 o'clock. Damon. Austin Cook. Scott. Oakland. Scott, I mean. Zach Wickers. We'll start in about a minute. Okay, it's 8 o'clock already. Today we'll be in section 3.3 again, equations of lines. We'll review a little bit about what we've already talked about. We saw this yesterday. Equations of lines in the variables x and y have the following forms. The standard form, ax plus by equals c. If you solve the standard form for y, then you can write it in slope-intercept form. So while we're at it, why don't we solve this equation ax plus by equals c for y. And then in terms of capitals A, B, and C, let's identify what the slope is and the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. When we solve ax plus by equals c for y, we first subtract ax from both sides. So we get b times y equals negative ax plus c. And then divide every term on both sides by capital B. And we get y equals negative a over capital B times x plus capital C divided by capital B. Okay, so in terms of capitals A, B, and C, what's the slope of that line?
Negative AB.
Yeah, negative a over b is the slope. Right, this is the slope-intercept form. We're not using lowercase m because we started with this equation, ax plus by equals c. But this is slope-intercept, so the slope is negative capital A over capital B. That's the slope. And what about capital C divided by capital B? That is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. So in terms of y equals lowercase m times x plus lowercase b is capital C divided by capital B. But you might agree that instead of writing negative a over b for the slope, it's just easier to use a simple variable like m. And instead of writing capital C over capital B for the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, it's simpler to just use a single variable like b. Okay, the point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. This is a nice form to apply if you know the slope and if you know a point on the line. The x1, y1 represents a point on the line. Okay, so just like we talked about yesterday, the point slope form is often used when the slope of a line is known, as well as the ordered pair of a point that is on that line. Okay, so today we'll do problems that are similar to the ones we did yesterday. It's just that today there will be a little bit more algebra and arithmetic involved. Okay, so number one, we want to find the equation of the line that is parallel to the line 5x minus 4y equals negative 3, and which passes through the point 2, negative 1. Okay, so before we can apply the point slope form, we need to know the slope of this line. Okay, so what's the very first thing to do in this problem? We want to find the equation of a line that is parallel to this line, 5x minus 4y equals negative 3, and the new line passes through the point 2, negative 1. So what's the first thing to do in this case?
Solve for y.
Yeah, if we rewrite this equation, we're given an equation, a linear equation in standard form. And so if we solve this equation for y, it will be in the slope-intercept form. And then we'll know what the slope is. So let's go ahead and solve 5x minus 4y equals negative 3 for y. So I'll rewrite that. 5x minus 4y equals negative 3. Subtract 5x from both sides, we get negative 4y equals negative 5x minus 3. Then divide every term on both sides by negative 4. Negative 4y divided by negative 4 is 1y, or y. Negative 5x divided by negative 4 is positive 5/4 x. And negative 3 divided by negative 4 is positive 3/4. Okay, so the slope of this line is 5/4. The new line that we're trying to find an equation of is parallel to the given line. So that means the new line has the same slope, 5/4, because it's parallel, right? So I'll just write down new line. The slope of the new line is the same as the slope of the given line. So the new line has slope 5/4. And the new line passes through the point 2, negative 1. So I'll just write down x1, y1 is a given point on the new line. And what's the next step? Yeah, now we use the point slope form. So pull the paper down a little bit so you, at the top, you can see the point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Okay, so we're all set. Y minus y1 in this case is y minus -1. And that's equal to the slope 5/4 times the quantity x minus x1. So in this case, x minus 2. And at the very least, we want to simplify y minus -1. That's y plus 1. Okay, so this is an equation of the new line. Remember, always read the directions carefully. If the directions just ask for an equation of the new line, then this would be a satisfactory answer. On the other hand, if the directions say find the new equation and write it in slope-intercept form, then we have a couple of more steps left if we want to solve for y. So let's go ahead and do that. We need practice with arithmetic. First, distribute multiplication over x minus 2 by 5/4. So the left-hand side will be the same momentarily. Y plus 1 equals 5/4 times x minus 5/4 times 2. So 5/4 times 2 is 10/4, which simplifies to 5/2. And then we can subtract 1 from both sides. And we get y equals 5/4 x minus 5/2 minus 1 is equivalent to minus 5/2 minus 2/2. So altogether we have minus 7/2. Okay, are there any questions about the fraction arithmetic involved? Just remember, when adding and subtracting fractions, a common denominator is needed. So when we subtracted 1 from 5/2, we had to convert minus 1 to minus 2/2 so that we could subtract one fraction from the other. Okay, the next problem, well, we have the same equation, but this time we want to find a line that's perpendicular to 5x minus 4y equals -3 that passes through the same point, 2, -1. Well, we already found the slope of this line in the previous problem, so we don't need to do it over again. I'll just write down that the given line's slope is 5/4. Okay, but the new line that we're looking for is the equation of the new line is perpendicular to the given line. So the slope of the new line will be the negative reciprocal of 5/4. So for the new line, the slope m is -4/5. That's the negative reciprocal of 5/4. And the point on the new line is x1, y1. That's the point 2, -1. So we'll start by writing the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. So we have y minus -1 again. And that's equal to -4/5 times the quantity x minus 2. So in the next step, let's do a couple of things. We'll simplify y minus -1, and we'll also distribute multiplication over x minus 2 by -4/5. Y minus -1 is y plus 1. And then -4/5 times x. So we -4/5 times x. And -4/5 times -2 is +8/5. So we write +8/5. And then we subtract 1 from both sides. So on the left-hand side, we get y. On the right-hand side, -4/5 x. And then plus, I'll write in a little more detail here. We have +8/5. And then we're going to subtract 1. But what form should 1 take if I want to subtract it from 8/5? Yeah, 5/5. So I'm going to convert the -1 to -5/5, because when adding and subtracting fractions, we have to have a common denominator. Okay, so our final result in slope-intercept form is y equals -4/5 x plus 3/5. Okay, that's all there is to that. Next problem, number 3. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to x equals -5 and -5. Okay, I'll start over. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to x equals -5 and which passes through the point -3, -1. Okay, with a little practice, you'll know automatically, almost without thinking, what that new equation is. But it's okay if a little more thought is involved. Does anyone know the answer just like that?
Since it's going to be parallel, if it's on the x-axis, would any other number on the x-axis, since it's going to be a vertical line, wouldn't be parallel to the
Okay, so what's the equation of the new line?
x equals, I think you can pick a number.
X equals what?
-4, -3. I think you can pick any number on the x-axis, right?
Yeah, so if you remember, the graph of x equals -5 is what kind of line in the xy plane? It's a vertical line. The vertical line, x equals -5, every point on that vertical line has the same x coordinate of -5. So that's why we call it x equals -5. Okay, well, in the xy plane, a line that is parallel to a vertical line is also vertical, right? Two vertical lines are parallel. And if that vertical line passes through the point -3, -1, then every point on that vertical line that passes through -3, -1 will have the same x coordinate of -3. So therefore, we conclude that the equation of the vertical line that passes through -3, -1 is x equals -3, right? X equals the x coordinate. Okay, that's the reasoning behind it, but we can go through it step by step. Okay, well, what if you don't remember that x equals -5 is a vertical line? Well, if x equals -5, the variable y is not there. So on the x-axis, x equals -5 is right there. So if this represents a line, then it seems that we have to conclude that every point on that line has the same x-coordinate of -5. So here I've plotted 2 points. Each point has the same x-coordinate, -5. I can pick any 2 points I want, but then when I draw a line through it, I get a vertical line. So the equation for this line is x equals -5. And then this other point is given -3, -1. So that's right here. I'll label it -3, -1. And if the line passing through -3, -1 is parallel to the vertical line x equals -5, then the new line must also be vertical. And this vertical line that passes through -3, -1 is the line on which every point has the same x-coordinate of -3. So the equation of that vertical line through -3, -1 and -3, 2, the equation is x equals -3. Okay, so you might write that down in your notes if it helps. Just say that in the xy plane, the equation of a vertical line is x equals whatever the x-coordinate is of every point on that line. Okay, number 4. Now we want to find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to x equals -5 and which passes through the point -3, -1. Okay, so now we know that x equals -5 is a vertical line in the xy plane. A line that is perpendicular to a vertical line is what kind of line? Yeah, horizontal. And in the xy plane, a horizontal line is a line on which every point has the same y-coordinate. Okay, so if you have a horizontal line in the xy plane that passes through -3, -1, then what's the equation of that horizontal line?
Y equals -1.
Yeah, y equals -1, whatever the y-coordinate is. Okay, so we can sketch the situation. So we're given the vertical line, x equals -5. So this is x equals -5. And then the point -3, -1 again. So -3, -1 is this point. And the new line is perpendicular to the vertical line. So this is supposed to be a horizontal line. Hey, but if you pick any point on this horizontal line, like this point to -1, this point is -3, -1. Every point on that horizontal line has the same y coordinate of -1. And so the equation for that horizontal line is y equals -1. Okay, so remember, in the xy plane, a horizontal line, the equation for a horizontal line is y equals a number. The number is the same as every y coordinate that's on that horizontal line. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So more of the same, but just perhaps a little more complicated. Find equations of the lines described below. A line that is parallel to 3x plus 2y equals 6 passes through the point -4, -3. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes to work on that. Find the equation of the line that's parallel to 3x plus 2y equals 6, and which passes through the point -4, -3. Okay, the new line that we want is parallel to the given line, 3x plus 2y equals 6. So what does that tell us?
It's the same slope.
Yeah, that tells us that the new line has the same slope as the given line. So we first have to find the slope of 3x plus 2y equals 6. And then whatever the slope of that line is going to be the same as the slope of the new line that passes through -4, -3. Okay, so we can rewrite the given equation, rewrite it so that it's in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and do that. 3x plus 2y equals 6. Subtract 3x from both sides, we get 2y equals -3x plus 6. Divide both sides by +2. We get y equals -3/2 x plus 3. Okay, so the new line has slope -3/2 because the new line is parallel. They have the same slope. And the x1, y1 is given to be -4, -3. So then we just write the point slope form. So watch out just be careful not to switch the order of the numbers. So our y1 is -3, so y minus y1 is y minus -3. And that's equal to -3/2 times the quantity x minus x1, or x minus -4. So a little bit of arithmetic. Y minus -3 is y plus 3. And then -3/2 times the quantity x minus -4 is equivalent to x plus 4 inside the parentheses. Okay, this is a good enough answer if you're not required to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. But if the directions say to write it in slope-intercept form, then we have to solve for y. So let's just do that for practice. First, we distribute multiplication through x plus 4 by -3/2. And so on the right-hand side, we'll get -3/2 times x. And we're going to add a negative number times a positive number. So we're going to subtract 3/2 times 4, which simplifies to -6. And then we can subtract 3 from both sides to get y equals -3/2 x minus 9. Okay, the next problem. Find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to -5x minus 6y equals 7, and that passes through the point 1, 2 in parentheses. Okay, so what do we need to do? The new line is perpendicular to the given line. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to work on this. All right, let's proceed. The new line is perpendicular to the given line. So the slope of the perpendicular line is the negative reciprocal of the slope of negative 5x minus 6y equals 7. So first we have to find the slope of this given line and then use the negative reciprocal of that slope for the slope of the line that's perpendicular to it. We can find the slope of the given line if we solve it for y to write it in slope-intercept form. So let's solve it for y. We'll start with negative 5x minus 6y equals 7. Add 5x to both sides. And watch out for the minus signs and the negative signs. So we get negative 6y equals 5x plus 7. Then divide every term on both sides by negative 6. Negative 6y divided by negative 6 is positive 1y, or y. 5x divided by negative 6 is negative 5 over 6 times x. And positive 7 divided by negative 6 is negative 7 over 6. And if we add negative 7 over 6, that's equivalent to subtracting 7 over 6. Okay, so the slope of the given line is negative 5/6. So for the new line, whose equation we're trying to find, the slope is the negative reciprocal of negative 5 over 6. So the slope of the perpendicular line is positive 6/5. So 6 over 5 is the negative reciprocal of negative 5 over 6. The perpendicular line passes through the point whose ordered pair is 1, 2 in parentheses. So our x1, y1 is given to be 1, 2, the ordered pair 1, 2. And then we can write down the point slope form. Y minus y1 is y minus 2. And that's equal to the slope 6/5 times the quantity, which will be put in parentheses, x minus x1, in this case, x minus 1. Well, just for practice with fraction arithmetic, let's put this in slope-intercept form. So first, distribute multiplication over the quantity x minus 1 by 6/5. So y minus 2 equals 6/5 times x minus 6/5. And now we're going to add 2 to both sides. So we get y equals 6/5 x minus 6/5 plus 2. So how should I write 2 since I have to add it to the fraction minus 6/5?
10 over 5.
Yeah, plus 10 over 5, right? We need a common denominator when adding and subtracting fractions. So this represents my plus 2. And then we can write the final slope-intercept form, y equals 6/5 x, and then minus 6/5 plus 10/5 is equivalent to plus 4/5. So this is our result in slope-intercept form. Okay, well, we just have more of the same. I'm sure by now it's getting monotonous, but that's how you get good at things, by doing it when it's monotonous. Okay, this time a line is parallel to 6x minus 4y equals negative 3, and that line passes through the point 2, negative 1. Okay, so the new line is parallel to the given line. That means they have the same slope. So we have to find the slope of this line, 6x minus 4y equals negative 3. We'll use the same slope and the point on the new line, 2, whose ordered pair is 2, negative 1. Okay, so we do more of the same. Solve this equation for y so that we'll know what the slope is. Okay, so subtract 6x from both sides, and we get negative 4y equals negative 6x minus 3. Then divide every term on both sides by negative 4. Negative 4y divided by negative 4 is positive 1y, or y. Negative 6x divided by negative 4 is positive 6x over positive 4. But 6 over 4 reduces to 3 over 2. And then negative 3 divided by negative 4 is positive 3/4. The new line is parallel to that line, so they have the same slope. The given line has a slope of 3/2, so the new line also has a slope of 3/2 because they are parallel. And then the x1, y1, the point that the new line passes through, is the ordered pair 2, negative 1. Okay, then the point slope form. So just for repetition, I'll rewrite the point slope form. The point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times, in parentheses, or times the quantity x minus x1. Okay, so with the slope 3/2 and the x1, y1, the ordered pair 2, negative 1, we write the point slope form. So y minus negative 1 equals 3/2 times the quantity x minus 2. So y minus negative 1 is y plus 1. And we'll go ahead and distribute multiplication over x minus 2 by 3/2. So we get, on the right-hand side, we get 3/2 times x, and then minus 3/2 times 2 simplifies to minus 3. And then the next step, if we want the slope-intercept form, just subtract 1 from both sides, and we get y equals 3/2 x minus 4. Okay, the next one. Find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to negative 9x plus 3y equals negative 5, and which passes through the point, the ordered pair, negative 5, 4. So how many are already finished with that one? You're already done? I'm going too slow? Okay, so some are already finished. So I guess I'd better get a move on to catch up. Okay, the new line is perpendicular to this line, negative 9x plus 3y equals negative 5. So we need to find the slope of the given line, find the slope of negative 9x plus 3y equals negative 5. And then we'll use the negative reciprocal of that slope for the slope of the line that's perpendicular to the given line. So we can rewrite this equation so that it's in slope-intercept form. We solve for y, so I'll rewrite negative 9x plus 3y equals negative 5. So this time we add 9x to both sides. So we get 3y equals 9x minus 5. Then divide every term on both sides by 3. We get y equals 3x minus 5/3. Okay, when the slope of a line is an integer like 3, it's helpful to remember the basic definition of slope is rise over run. So we're going to, even though we say the slope is 3, we're thinking 3 over 1, right? The rise is 3 and the run is 1. Okay, that can help us. The new line has a slope that is the negative reciprocal of 3. Well, if you think of 3 as 3 over 1, then the reciprocal of 3 over 1 is 1 over 3. And so the negative reciprocal of 3 over 1 is negative 1 over 3. And the x1, y1 is given. That's one of the points on the new line. The ordered pair negative 5, 4. And so now we can write the equation of the perpendicular line using the point slope form. So we write y minus 4 equals the slope negative 1/3 multiplied by the quantity x minus negative 5. Let's go ahead and solve for y. That is, write it in slope-intercept form. So we have a little bit more simplifying to do on the right-hand side inside the parentheses. X minus negative 5 is equivalent to x plus 5. Then we'll distribute multiplication by negative 1/3 on the right-hand side. So y minus 4 equals negative 1/3 x. And then we're adding negative 1/3 times 5, which is equivalent to subtracting 5/3. And then we're going to add 4 to both sides. When we add 4, we get y equals negative 1/3 x minus 5/3 plus, well, I'm going to add 4 to minus 5/3, so I have to have a common denominator. So instead of just writing plus 4, I want to write it in the form of a fraction that has the same denominator, 3. Yeah, so plus 12 over 3, right? Plus 12 over 3, because 12 over 3 is equal to 4. And then we'll borrow some space from below. So the equation of this line is y equals negative 1/3 x. And then minus 5/3 plus 12/3 is equivalent to plus 7/3. So there's the equation of the perpendicular line. Okay, the next one, we can probably do this pretty fast. A line that is parallel to y equals 5 passes through the point 11, negative 6. So what's the equation of that line that is parallel to y equals 5 and passes through the point whose ordered pair is 11, negative 6.
Y equals -6.
Yeah, y equals -6. Y equals 5 is horizontal. Every point on y equals 5 has the same y coordinate of 5. And so any line that's parallel to a horizontal line is also horizontal. So that parallel line passes through the point 11, negative 6. So just roughly, 11, negative 6 looks something like this. So the equation of that line is y equals -6. So that's all there is to that one. Okay, then the last problem for today, a line that is perpendicular to y equals -3 passes through the point -8, -4. Okay, the line y equals -3 is horizontal. So any line that's perpendicular to a horizontal line is vertical. And the vertical line passes through -8, -4. The new line is vertical, it passes through -8, -4. So what's the equation of that vertical line?
X equals -8.
Yeah, x equals the x coordinate. So x equals -8 is the equation of that vertical line. Okay, that's all for today. Remember, we have a test next Thursday. We do not have school on Monday. And on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, we will review for test 1. And then on Thursday, we will have test 1. Okay, so that's all for today.